Hello everyone, this is Faithful to Race Across the World, where we are here to discuss Series 5, Episode 6. Pause for music.
Wow, that was really good. Well
Thank
done.
you. I'm a professional.
Get yourself an award.
A BAFTA.
Is there a podcast awards? Nominate us.
Yeah, there
you go.
is. The Podcast Awards.
Oh.
And you can nominate whatever podcast you want,
There you go.
but the ones that win are always the ones who are
Have a contract with the BBC. Yeah.
on BBC Sounds or have Gary Lineker funding them.
Basically,
from
yeah. The adage,
But they are the independent.
Of course, they are very independent. But the adage of every celebrity now has a podcast couldn't be truer. Let's be honest with you. Found out Alexi Sales has a podcast.
Who?
There you go.
Who's Alexi Sales?
Alexi Sales was a comedian from the 80s. I know him fondly because I used to watch The Young Ones.
Comedian from the 80s is Dangerous Territory.
No.
No,
Comedian
is he
from the
okay?
80s isn't Dangerous Territory. Comedian from the 60s and 70s is Dangerous Territory. But no, Alexi Sales is one of the good ones.
I was born in the 80s and my name is Ben, the co-host of this podcast.
I was born in the 80s too. And my name's Alex. You were born in the late 80s.
Yes.
You saw the end of Thatcherism. I saw the beginning. There you go.
Okay, good. Well, that's why you also...
Is that why you're a Tory? Is that what you're going to say?
No, troubled.
Troubled? I'm a troubled man. Yeah, because of blooming section whatever in the school. I should know this gay history.
Section
Yeah.
28.
Thank
is that
you.
it?
Yeah, it's Margaret Thatcher.
No? We're doing politics hour.
Ooh, we're doing politics.
Well,
Politics.
faithful to the
Westminster.
Tories.
No, we're fucking not. I mean, nothing against Tories if you are a supporter of them, but
We're not faithful.
they're not my cup of tea.
We're
We're
not
not
faithful
faithful
to
to them. No.
Not faithful to anyone, apart from Race Across the World, of course.
Yes.
Which we're here to discuss. If people wanted to get in contact with us to comment,
Yes, Ben.
how can they do so?
Okay, well, I'll tell you.
Thank you,
You can go to
Alex.
Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at Faithful2Podcast, on Blue Sky at Faithful2Podcast.bsky.social. You can find us on YouTube by searching Faithful2Podcast or Faithful to Race Across the World. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, comment, and that stuff. Watch the video, thumbs up. That's what I was looking for. You can go to Spotify. You can watch us and comment on there as well. You can listen to us on Apple or any of your favourite podcast apps. If you like listening to the podcast, give us a 5-star review. And if you want to help us monetarily, go to buymeacoffee.com/faithful, where you can buy us a ticket out of this dead-ass town. And it also helps with the podcast
lighting
as well, with the lighting. And
Yeah.
Charlie.
We've had one comment this week on all of our platforms, by the way, so I'm not very happy, but it's fine.
I mean, we're dead now. We're dead to everyone.
We're in the mid-series, you see, where people have just stopped commenting.
The lull.
So you just wait till the final and there'll be loads.
Oh.
So in the beginning, I didn't like Brian and Melvin, but as it goes on and we hear more about their childhood and how they are learning, I've really grown to like them. But Tom and Caroline for the win. But Brian and Melvin second. And there's been someone who's attached themselves to this comment who's replied 3 kissy faces.
Oh, who's that?
Tom Bridge, 9854.
God, there's that many of them.
There's a lot of them. So there you go. That's what's from Jess. That's our comment.
I mean,
say.
we couldn't possibly have a favourite on this show because we are.
Who's in last place
unbiased.
this week?
Finn and Shoned.
Well, Finish they're my favourites.
They're your favourites, but they've caught up from their diabolical 36. Was it 39 hours?
33 hours. Yeah.
33-hour loss last week.
Wide gap.
They've got. I mean, Finn's wide gap. But Finn and Shoned have caught up, and that's not for the lack of trying, because they have literally stormed it this episode. But they had some really lovely moments between them this episode as well. I did, Finn and Shoned loves Young Dream. They are brilliant. I did like that Finn at one point did say, "Oh, I really like this travelling lark," and I just thought, Shoned, her dream is dying. I just want to be at home, work in a leisure centre.
I love the difference because of there's such a range of ages and couples and what the people are. I love the difference between Brian and Melvin and Finn and Shoned. Because Brian and Melvin are talking about dying. We may have a few more trips left in us, care homes, and then Finn and Shoned are there.
Yep.
19-year-old,
about their future.
sprightly,
Yeah. Their future is maybe not the Welsh valleys anymore. Even Sioned was beginning to open up to it. She was saying she was enjoying herself. I was worried at first because they said they were going to take the direct route so they could catch up. I thought, oh no,
I know,
more
but,
cities, more chaos.
I mean, they should have went the desert way, but for Sioned, but because they were 33 hours behind, they had to do the
But they didn't,
direct.
it
But they
didn't
were
seem
okay.
to hassle them. And to be fair, after Sioned had a little cry, a little unwind, a little rethink, a little head wobble.
She said to Finn as well, which was deadly. She said, "If I am crying or upset, don't be nice to me. Just tell me to get on with my." And he just literally gulped and went, "No, I don't think."
and then
I don't think I can do that.
Later in the episode, Finn was then like, "You stink. When did you last change your underwear?" And Shannon was like, "It was yesterday." And Finn's face expressions are so expressive. Like, it literally tells a story. Like, you could tell a whole story in his face. No. That you play poker with Finn, you'd wipe him out of all his money. They'd lose their house. Shonen would be destroyed. It's like, I spent forever getting this house. And Finn would be like, I'm sorry, I play poker. And it's like, oh, I should have known. So
I know. Because she
sorry
was
to the
like, well,
Welsh for that impression, by the way.
it's not been 3 days. No one would do that. The camera slowly pans to
Finn going,
yes, well. So
side-eye Finn.
we know that coach or whatever they're on stank.
Finn's, all because of Shonen and their dirty knickers.
Nothing to do with Finn and his 3-day-old one.
I wouldn't want to go near Brian's underwear either, let me just tell you, with his jelly belly.
I know. He
Poor old
Brian
Brian.
had. I've been talking about this all series. the fear. It finally happened to one of them.
Brian, and
it was
didn't he
Brian.
look well?
I know.
He was white, he looked thin.
Yeah, bag under his eyes. He's
Bless
lost about
him.
20 kilos. Yeah, he had the deli belly. That's what he quoted it as.
That's what they call it. It's a colonial term, the deli belly.
Yeah. So
but he was
that
worried
is the
about
worst
his-
nightmare because they had to go on an overnight
journey.
bus. Where I don't think, do they have a toilet on there? If they do, it's not
If
like
they do, it can't be nice.
Yeah.
And also, Brian said that he hasn't sat down on a toilet since the journey began. And
know.
this is another little quib for problem for you, isn't it? You don't want to be squatting.
No.
You want to be sitting. You
Well,
want a throne. You're British, for goodness sake. I'm British. I deserve a throne.
It made me laugh when Brian was like, well, if I could just have one sit-down toilet, I think I'd be fine. It's like, well, that's the cure, is it? Just a sit-down toilet will cure all. But yeah, I would not want that. An overnight bus on that little thing with a bad
terrifying.
stomach is just like the worst thing possible.
You'll wake up like that scene in Train Spotting when you look down, you lift up the sheet, and you can see you've released yourself in the bed sheets. And the last thing you need is then to have an argument with the person downstairs, and you pull the
his
sheets
brother
away.
was underneath. So.
Oh yeah, poor Melvin.
Melvin.
Melvin's waking up with a drip, drip, drip. He's like going, Brian.
No.
You think Brian would take the bottom bud? Wouldn't you take? He's meant to be the older brother.
I did feel sorry for him because he just looked so ill.
Oh, Brian!
and
Honestly,
sick.
my heart was out for him. He was like having an awful time. And also, again, at the end of the episode, when Melvin, I love it when every episode Melvin's so overjoyed about like finishing that leg, and he always goes for the hug. And only Brian has only once in 6 episodes, only once embraced that hug. Every other time he's like,
Yeah, no, he pushes him. He's still pushing him away. Still doing it. So we are getting there slowly.
But they're
breaking
fulfilling
through.
their childhood dreams. Quote Brian, which is Melvin, which is adventuring. He said, "As a children, they always talked about they would go on adventures. They never fulfilled it. As you said, they've got 2 more left in the 2. Very specifically, 2 more left in them,
1 or 2.
and then they'll be going to the care home where they'll be causing all kinds of mischief and trouble." Says Brian on the toilet squatting. Poor Brian. All he needs is a toilet.
I know. And then with his bad tummy, when they were doing the work, he was then drinking camel
Camel's
milk
milk.
straight from the leaf. It was like, it wasn't a
Straight from
bowl,
the
it was a leaf as a
Straight from the
bowl.
leaf.
And it was like, well, this is just chemistry for a bad time.
I think it's fine. I don't think you need
No, 'cause the
pasteurised
rain-
camel milk, do you?
Yeah, but there's something on that leaf. It could have been anything which is causing this tummy
You
bug.
don't know. They could have got a nice little swab of Dettol. They could have given it a quick clean, antibacterial, give it a quick clean, and then said, here you go, here's your leaf of milk. Leaf. I love that it's a unit. Have a leaf. In India, they make cakes. It's like, for this cake batter, use 2 leaves of flour.
Yeah.
It's like, yes. Brian and Melvin worked on a camel dairy farm. And to quote Melvin, the milk was bloody lovely.
Remind me of that meme
It reminded me of that meme as well. I was like,
can't
this is
remember.
bloody lovely.
out of everything. But this part of India as well, I think is
Beautiful.
like the best part.
I
This
agree.
is like less hectic. I'm on the Shoned train.
West is best. The west of India. It did look lovely. Like when they were in the desert as well. The desert, which is most people would associate deserts being this abandoned, lonely, isolated place. What is it? 17 million people live in this
Yeah.
desert.
With amazing
huge,
phone
isn't
signal.
It's insane. And they have phone signal, yeah.
So I don't even have phone signal halfway around the house here. And then that guy was in the desert on his phone.
Yeah.
So
Playing on TikTok, doing TikTok dances in front of his camel. I'm sure they are. Or in front of an Indian wild ass.
yes.
I mean, I've known a few men to be described as an Indian wild ass, but I've never actually seen animals.
Carolyn saw one.
Caroline saw
It wasn't just Tom.
Indian wild ass. We all were on Caroline's side. Caroline and Tom doing their jobs. 2 jobs.
I know they can't stop working.
We take
So
the mick out
working
of them.
class.
I know. We take the mick out of them, saying that they're this, posh.
No.
Daddy bought you a flight simulator, Tom. We're taking the mick, and
They're
they're the
working
ones
class.
working the hardest.
Yeah.
They started off working in a rug cooperative. Let's just say one of the guys was giving out like a railwayman energy, like the evil character from like a 1950s like
with his
black and white
moustache.
cards. Yeah, he kept twiddling his moustache. I loved him.
Yeah, watching Tom work.
He's just like watching him work, like I'm going to tie him to a rail track. Yeah, I did.
But it was sweet this episode,
Yeah.
though. There was lots of sweet moments this episode. It was very, lots of serious things with pretty much all the teams. But yeah, Tom was there with his rug, and Caroline watching.
Caroline was watching.
Not
And
getting her
again,
hands dirty.
Caroline always does this, doesn't she? It's like when Tom had problems putting on the glove, Caroline just stood and watched, poked and laughed.
In awe.
in awe, in admiration for her son. He admitted his first time he's ever admitted to a stranger his cerebral
He just
palsy.
said it.
He just said it, didn't even think about it, and he said himself. He said like he expected there to be a reaction.
Yeah, the guy was
Nothing.
like, "That's okay.
Yeah,
Carry on."
carry on. Twiddling his moustache like cerebral palsy.
But it's just sweet. Just everything. This is what this show is. It's just like really makes you care and love these people because of what they do.
I really do.
And
They're
it's
great.
just the way that Caroline was just looking at him and she was like really proud of him, and no one cared that he had cerebral palsy and he would still be able to do it. And it's just
I like that the roles also, like at the beginning of the series, we thought that Tom believed he was going to take the initiative. It ended up Caroline took the initiative. That she's kind of carried that on throughout the series, but that's why they've kind of been racing and they've just kind of been fighting harder to get higher and higher and higher.
rushing.
This episode, it felt like that the control had changed hands slightly to Tom. And because Tom was like, that's not good enough when he told his mum off for not making a hard decision of what to do. And then Caroline, again, in the background kind of said, well, when it goes wrong, I won't tell him I told him so. But it didn't go wrong, Caroline. It didn't go wrong. So your son showed you. He knew exactly what you had to do. And they did the right thing. Although a very expensive leg for them. They spent a lot of money on taxis. But as you said, they worked. Tom and Caroline are starting their own WikiFeet page very soon.
Yes, well,
Stomping out the ground.
which
across
one's going to
the
be
desert.
rated higher? There's probably already an account made for them because it aired last night.
Let's be honest, Caroline has spent millions. She has Botox in her feet. She's got the manicured nails. She has them massaged.
All for this moment.
All for this moment.
She knew one day she was going to be on TV.
Yeah.
One day she'll be
She
paddling
knew her
through.
feet was going to be on TV.
Yeah, no, she'll be paddling through dried, salty mud, and she thought, "This is my moment.
Yeah.
This is where my WikiFeet career can start."
61 days or how many... Well, I don't know what day we're on, but prior to this recording of the
33.
series, Caroline was at her pedologist.
Pedometrist.
Thank you.
Pedometer, is that it? I don't know.
And he or she said like, "Oh, what am I doing for you today? Get rid of all my calluses. I'm having Studio Larbert record my feet endlessly for the next 2 months." And I want to get a 5-star rating on WikiFeet. I mean, if no one's started a WikiFeet page for Tom and Caroline yet, what are you doing? What are you
Not a
doing?
shared one, though, because that's a bit creepy. But
No, obviously not a shared one. They get their own individual
Yeah.
one because it's a competition. Who's going to get the higher rating, Tom or Caroline? Who do you think's got better feet, Tom or Caroline?
well, I'm not discussing
Why?
Glow reviews.
WikiFeet is a thing. We need to discuss
Yeah, so
it.
I'm not a fan of WikiFeet. I just know of WikiFeet.
Yeah, true. I'm sure.
You might have one for all you know.
No one's seen my feet.
They might have been on a
Not
vlog
in
or
public.
a podcast once.
Why would I
Maybe.
show my feet on a podcast?
I don't know. Why did Caroline?
I'm genuinely trying to think if I've ever shown my feet anywhere. No.
Maybe I'll put a picture up now on the video, so you can have.
I could
your
take a
account.
photo of my feet if you
No.
want. They're gross. So I wouldn't want to see them.
No, let's not. But their job was a bit odd. Their second one, 'cause I did think Caroline asked the good question of, "Can't a machine just do this?"
Which again is like, can a servant do this?
And I thought, yes, that's a good point because it was ridiculous when he said, "Oh no, you're doing this whole bit of land, and it's like, sorry,
Uh,
and he was
which-
being serious.
To be fair, we're in the moment as a country, as a
World.
first world nation with other first world nations.
Hmm.
There's the argument being made out there that AI is taking jobs, taking people's livelihoods. Why would you take someone's job away?
Well, that's what he said. He said, we need jobs, so you do it yourself. But when they were doing it, twiddling his moustache, when they were doing it, I was just thinking, I don't know if I'd be able to do this, because it looked really... Like, the first strip, I'd be like, this is fun. But then it's like, as it goes on, it looks really boring and monotonous. And...
With headphones, we know you can get a radio signal. God, right, radio signal. You can get a phone signal out there, or you can just download a podcast. Perhaps a Faithful 2 podcast, maybe. We've done a
it'll
few.
get you going.
We've done a few now, over 150, I'd say at this point. You could listen to all of our back content.
Do one
whilst
field.
stepping
Shuffling,
on
like
the
a
shand.
like a penguin. But yeah, odd job. One of the weirder ones.
Was an odd job. However, Caroline was doing such a good job. For the second time this series, the owner of the said salt field was offering Tom
Oh yeah, to buy her
money to buy Caroline.
Well, not money. It was like 2
Salt.
kilograms of salt.
It was 100 kilograms of salt.
100.
That's a lot of salt. Tom could sell that.
Tell his mum.
Can you imagine coming home? His dad's like, Thomas, where's your mother?
Where's that woman?
I've sold, yes. Where's my chef? I've sold her for salt.
Oh, good job.
Good salt. Good one. Well done, Tom. Well done, Thomas.
100 grams of salt. So
100 grams, 100 kilograms. I've got 100 grams of salt in the cupboard right now.
You can buy Caroline there.
Caroline, I'll
Tom.
buy you for 100 grams. I'll buy you for a salt shaker of salt.
Greg's, a £10 Greg's voucher will do for her.
Don't devalue Caroline. She's worth at least 15.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, let us know, Tom, if she's still for sale.
Caroline, how much Greg's do you think Caroline is worth? Like, how much physically?
And does she know what
Greg's?
a Greg's is? Because someone said we'll see you in Weatherspoons, and
Tom knew.
I think Tom and Caroline both like, what's a Weatherspoon?
Tom was switched on. Caroline was a bit like puzzled. Later,
You mean a Harrods?
yeah, you mean carriages? No, like bless him. What was Caroline offered for before then? Was it like, what was the job she did before when they were offering like
I can't remember.
something for?
I don't know if they showed it. They showed Gaz trying to find a wife, didn't he? But not her.
Oh yeah, Gaz was trying to find a wife in China. Yeah, because he
Never got a chance to get his other wife. He said there might be one in India, never made it.
Although
he
maybe
remains single.
maybe culturally inappropriate thing to say also, but we'll weigh it out one day.
Who cares? We also had Elizabeth and Letitia, who, may I say,
We also had.
well, they seem to be getting less airtime than everyone else. And like their journey, we saw them at the beginning, and then they were on like a big train for ages, and then we didn't see them again to the end. It's like, well, what's going on here?
Well, they did have their moment.
They did, finally.
Where they
Episode
opened up
6.
to one another. It was interesting. It keeps coming back to the loss of
All
their
the pieces are in
parents.
place now, because we keep
Yes.
hearing the same, like the house. You went to Italy. I feel bad. None of it was making sense. Now it does, because we finally had Letitia speak.
We had the puzzle pieces, but we hadn't put them together properly.
It's all thanks to that man making her do the prayer about the grandmother, the mother, the father, the daughter. It's like,
Yes.
right. How many family members are there? God. Kept going and going and going. And it made me laugh when he said, and your name. And because she was repeating everything he said. In my head, if I was there, I would have said your name.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have said my actual name. But Letitia was too smart. She did it correctly. She said Letitia. But that was the bit that opened up
Yes.
her mind. And she was like, right, we're going to have a chat now. Fuck the Taj Mahal. That wasn't enough. But this place.
Yeah,
this is it.
no, that did nothing. But the spiritualness of this river.
So we now know, everyone, the thing was that. We know that they lost the family home. Mm-hmm. When they lost the family home, Elizabeth was already 18.
Yes.
Letitia was 14.
Very young.
So in Letitia's point of view, Elizabeth was jetting off to a wonderful
She was
place in Italy.
running away. She was running away from the
Yeah.
problems, while Letitia had to stay
Abandoned
and
and
had to
you know,
deal
was
with it.
going over blah, blah. Elizabeth's point of view, though, is that she was 18.
It wasn't
So-
a problem necessarily.
Yeah, there wasn't a place for her because she was 18, she was an adult, so they weren't going to home her anyway. And it was like, well, I have no place here, so I need to find somewhere to go. So that's where the two thing. And because Letitia was only 14 at the time, she probably thought my sister was just jetting off to Italy to have this amazing, wonderful life. Where the other way round, it was Elizabeth was like, well, I have no place in the home, so I have to find somewhere else. So now we know, finally. And they finally talked it through. And ish. They're getting there.
They were more open than they usually are between them. Again, Letitia's the one who's the closed book, but I think
she was trying not to cry. She had that thing where you're trying not to cry, but it's there, in the center, and it popped out of her throat by accident, and then she went. She's like, calm myself, but no, they broke through. So I'm glad they finally got through that.
I get, actually, to be fair, where Letitia is coming from, because I think she felt a bit betrayed. She felt abandoned, and that her support unit was gone, and that
was having just a jolly in Italy.
Yeah, and clearly she felt like she couldn't kind of be as open and honest with her parents. Clearly, Letitia's not a very open book anyway, and to have someone who she used as a sounding post, a support system. Thank you.
Just something familiar.
Yeah, and familiar, and she just went without any kind of, presumably without any kind of formal goodbye or any kind of proper send off. To Letitia, she felt, like you said, abandoned. And this is where it's come from. And this trip is meant to build that relationship back up again, and it is being built, but you can see there's still that kind of slight wall between them where it's Elizabeth is desperately trying to smack through and Letitia's carrying on building back up again.
She's guarded,
but it's coming through finally, and I'm glad about it. But I think the reason they didn't get much airtime is because on this episode nothing really happened with them, or if it did, then obviously it wasn't with Brian and Melvin. There's Brian's impending explosion at any point, and that was exciting. Tom and Caroline, they were having a whale of a time. They're fun to watch.
She's proud of him.
She's proud of them, and they are fun to watch when they do their jobs as well. Tom, quote, "My favourite part of India is waving at people." Brilliant. And then Finn and Shoned.
That's lovely, darling. That's how she replies.
I love that Caroline also kept saying, "Oh, golly."
I know, she said about 7 golly. And all I was counting what I was.
It's like potty mouth Caroline. Come on.
It's like 7 gollies on this episode.
Golly. And Finn bought Shoned some magic cake, which was a beautiful moment as well, which I enjoyed too.
Well, we learned more about Finn as well, because
Finn,
Shoned was literally like, I don't think he realises how much of a hard time he's had. It's like, he's 18. What's going on here? It's like, not that bad. And then brushing the horse, it all came out. That's a euphemism.
Amazing what horses get. Finn was in his room brushing his horse.
And it all came spilling out.
Late night world.
They were having a lovely time. There was loads of animals on this episode, which I just
my goodness
love. But you could tell that Shoned and Finn have like an affinity to animals. Like that was. I think the animals helped a lot of them. The horse. Well, yeah. I think all of them having animals there helps you just open up and talk.
Animals are the best.
But anyway, back to
especially wild asses.
Yes,
Finn was brushing his horse.
We learned all sorts about him, because we learned that when he was younger, he was like not moving on the sofa, and his mum took him to hospital, and he had diabetes, which we kind of knew about already. And then later on, he just casually said, "Oh, and then there was something in my head; it was a tumor." And I was like, "Sorry." So old weary Finn. We know why he's so weary and travel worn now. So.
Travel worn, life worn,
or travel. Yeah.
He's not travelled.
No,
he just sits in Wales. But no. My goodness, the things that happened to Finn, unbearable. And I did find it interesting that Finn kind of said on this episode as well that he spent all his time supporting Shoned, and he's not kind of looked inward yet and looked at himself. And so, as you say, when he's brushing his horse and he was like talking about himself to the camera. It was in a real interesting kind of moment there for Finn. Like he was able to, it was almost cathartic for him to come out and say all that. Hence why he kind of, as he said it, he himself kind of then started crying. It reminded me a little bit of the last series where I wish I could remember the player now. It was the brother and sister, and the brother got really upset, and he asked one of the production crew to give him a hug. And I'm tearing up now thinking about it.
Yeah, that was so sad.
Such a moment.
Because he was on his own, wasn't he? And he looked around upset. He was like, didn't the producer say, "Did you want a hug?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then the producer came and hugged him on camera. Oh.
See, this is British television at its best. It's like that, despite the game, despite I'm going to go back on to talking about the Traitors for a second, but that moment on the Traitors in the last series when they did the
don't spoil anything.
Okay, but there was a moment on it.
Comments.
Yes, there was a moment on this series where one of the players discovers something, and it's a television moment. And why it never made television moment of the year at the BAFTAs, I do not know, because it was outstanding. And it's like this moment with Finn and Shoned, like that. Their journey is just so. Like so all their journeys is just so lovely, and it's just like so well presented on the screen. It's like it's not done too gushingly.
Someone commented a few weeks ago somewhere on our thing saying like they thought this was like Race. What's the one in America? Race.
Oh, The Amazing Race.
The Amazing Race. They're like, oh, this is a bit like Amazing Race, is it? I'll watch it because they've not watched it before, but they're watching it because of the podcast. Thank you, Studio Lambert. We'll take our check.
Yeah.
And then like they did like an update, and they were like, oh, actually no, this is nothing like The Amazing Race, because The Amazing Race, one person goes every time, and you just focus on racing and a competition. And on this, you learn about the actual people, you learn about the places where they're going and the homestays. So that's what makes this so different to The Amazing Race, which is, I've never seen it, but I'm going to go say
I have watched The Amazing Race. I watched half a series.
Not as good.
No, it's too hectic. It's too no offense to the Americans, but too American. And also, you know that, remember that video clip that went viral when someone catapulted a melon and it goes and smacks it in the face? That's from The Amazing Race.
Is it? Oh, sorry. That's an old clip. That's like the beginning of YouTube. I remember seeing that.
But on The Amazing Race, they have to play games as well as they go along. Yeah. While on here, they don't have to do stuff like that. It's not Survivor. It's a race across the world.
And they've got budgets on this one.
Yes.
Which are...
Well, let's talk about budgets, because
we did predict as well. Oh, Tom and Carolyn first. They went 5th, 4th, 1st.
Oh yeah, they're going up and now they're going back down again. So... And we are worried, because by the end of the series, that means they're going to end up 4th.
two more legs?
So next one will be 3rd, and then after that will be 4th.
Last.
Tom and Caroline.
Don't do it.
They're like the concertina of placement, isn't it? It's like... Like, is it concertina? No, I'm thinking of those whistle flutes. Anyway, it's fine. So, yeah, the budget, though, to be fair, Tom and Caroline are in the most comfortable position here.
Yeah, they're at the top.
They're at the top with budget. So they're second with time, but first for budget, 35%. Good, not bad. That means they've got, what, 17.5%, 17.75, something like that, 17% for each leg now, which is a lot.
Mm-hmm. They especially on that last bit.
They can afford to do taxis here. This could be a straight race for them now. If Tom wants that to be the case, Caroline would love that. But there's a compromise, don't forget, between Tom and Caroline. Tom wants to see the place. Caroline wants to carry on racing. Caroline's all thinking about the money now. Yeah. Caroline's got rich taste.
She's got rugs to purchase.
Yeah, she doesn't buy own brand fairy liquid. She buys fairy liquid.
When she wins the race, she's going to return back to that salt place and buy the husbands.
Yes.
She'll sell Tom.
I'll sell Tom for 200 kilograms of salt. Brian and Mel and Elizabeth and Letitia both have 31% of the budget. Again, healthy.
Mm-hmm. Brian and Thingy are first. Tom, Caroline second. Elizabeth and Letitia third. Finn and Shoned are fourth. But
they have a very low budget.
Yeah, they do. But they caught up like 33 hours. And like all of them are pretty much equal now. They're all at the hotel the first time at the same time.
But it's so tricky to be on. You have to be so careful when you're on such a tight budget.
I do think Finn and Shoned may run out of money on the last episode.
I think on the last one they'll run out. I think they'll be safe. I've got a funny feeling that they're going to use up about 5-6% of their budget on the not on the next leg, and that 6% is
to all those hotels they've been staying at, and they're like cake. Can't afford cake when you're on a low budget.
It was a cheap cake though, and it looked at it. And look at Shoned's happy little face. Like Finn knew he did well. Finn knew he did a good job. Finn knew he was getting some tonight until she talked about it.
No, yeah.
And then he was like,
they stink.
She was like,
getting none tonight.
You're gonna get some tonight, Finn. Finn's like,
no, thank
you. Nah, you're all right. You can keep it to yourself, thanks. Yeah, so I'm like you. I worry that Finn and Shoned aren't going to make it to the very end.
Normally, there's a couple that kind of run out on the last episode,
and it's always the ones I love the most as well. So Finn and Shoned, I mean, it goes without saying that they're obviously going to end up, because it was the mother and son that ran out of money. Oh, I'm sorry.
Stop.
Okay, sorry.
We already had someone on episode 1 who said, I thought you weren't doing spoilers. Guess I won't listen to this anymore. And then that was them.
I apologise.
Well, now another one's gone.
Yeah, but no one knows what I'm talking about. I could be talking about the traitors. I could be talking about Big Brother.
They don't have budgets on Big Brother. They don't have mother and sons on Big Brother.
They do have budgets on Big Brother.
That's true, but they don't get eliminated.
They have a food task.
I remember, was it series 1 or 2?
And they do get eliminated.
When, like, right at the last minute, they're like, you have to buy a ticket, and it's like £20, and that'll mess someone up as well once.
Spoilers.
The same spoiler.
No, that's a different series.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they had to. Yes, they had.
Well,
to,
I'm talking about
They had to buy a ticket.
The Amazing Race.
Of course, you are. Yes.
So like they do mean things like that sometimes, like really stupidly, like you're on the top of a mountain and they're like, oh, actually you need to go through this toll. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, but ever since they did that on a program once, I would deliberately conserve a little bit of money left. 9 times out of 10, they normally have a bit of, but they have a.
Have you noticed this series
budget
as well? They haven't done any hitchhiking. Normally, hitchhiking's a big thing on this when they hold signs up and want a free lift, and they just take me 2 miles that way or 2 miles that way, and they slowly go.
They kind of hitchhiked. They had to find a vehicle which was half Harley Davidson, half
the
truck.
thing that everyone pronounced differently.
And everyone kept driving past them, and they were going, "This is amazing!"
It's like a Shiz and Magoo or something. Who said that? Brian was calling it God knows what. But yeah, that thing. But no, but like they used to, like the past series, they used to just be like at petrol stations and they held a sign. Remember? They used to do that all the time.
No. The only time I remember it happening a lot was
Canada.
Canada. I can never say Canada properly. It's like I want to say Canada or Canadian, and so I just come up with the word Canadia.
Makes sense.
I'm turning into Donald Trump.
That was that series. But I'm sure they used to do it more than they do now. They don't even say it as an option anymore. Like I wonder if there's like a rule change somewhere, like a safety thing.
It's quite dangerous to hitchhike, to be fair. But
there was that guy, remember? He was like, I'll take you to my house.
Yes.
And it was really weird. And he was like, I'll come back in an hour and pick you up.
That was the Canadian
I think
series.
that was, wasn't
it? Yeah. The guy was like, yeah. And he looked insane as well. He looked a bit yokel. And, I remember that. That was funny.
So it's fine. But yeah, they don't seem to do that as much, this series.
I don't miss it.
No, but it never used to work anyway. They used to just end up standing there for like 10 hours and they'd be like, no one's taking us.
But it was
always, and then they've
like
got a taxi.
It was always like a story builder, wasn't it? It was like, it's like, you've got to show that you've got dedication to the game, so we'll hitchhike. And it was like, no, it doesn't really show that at all. It just shows that you ran out of options and now you're desperately trying to find a way out. So there. Just Tom and Caroline get a taxi. That was what the father and daughter did in the Canadian series.
You can take a bus for 86p or a taxi for £15. Oh, darling, let's just do a taxi.
No. Caroline.
No.
That's not good enough, mother. Caroline said, like, I don't mind, you choose. And Tom was like, that's not good enough, mother. That's not good enough. I was like, all right, Tom.
Well,
I saw a little bit of his father in his eyes there. There was fire. Fire.
Ever since Tom was the one who was offered to sell her, he's like, oh, actually, I'm the boss here, actually.
Wow.
So they've unlocked a new...
Tom's misogyny had kicked in.
They've unlocked something in Tom in the west of India.
Now you're taking your shoes off, mother. You'll now walk with your fate there. Don't you dare. I'm not buying you new Gucci's.
Right, so for next episode then, the race is pretty much equal now. Everyone has caught up, bar like, there's like, 4 hours?
6 hours is the distance from first to last.
Yeah, it's not nothing. Because you can just book they'll be like, oh, there's not a bus till tomorrow for everyone. That's what normally happens. And then all of them are equal again.
But this is where you this is also you saying about there's a lot of hitchhiking in other series. And in other series, there always tends to be like a bottleneck where everyone will suddenly meet up all of a sudden. And that's not happened.
On a boat.
Yeah, that's not happened other than this episode. But even then, Brian and Melvin were going on the big posh lovely bus. And Elizabeth and Letitia were going on the bus, which had no windscreen.
Luxury, yeah.
But they weren't. They met at the same place, but they weren't going to the same place.
Different.
So that's not happened very often. Maybe because China and India are bigger countries, so it's not as easy to kind of bump into one another. But I feel like now they're closer to one another, and it's now getting to the tail end of the race.
Yeah.
I think that you're going to see a lot more of them meeting now in bus stations or at taxi ranks or at train stations. There's going to be a lot more of that now, and there's going to be a lot more of that. Oh no, look, it's them! And the panic that ensues, because that would, especially if you've got like such a huge lead, like a 12-hour lead, and you're sat at the train station, you just see some people, the team who are in the like last place, your stomach must just go wrong. Oh, what have we done wrong to get this wrong? And then likewise with the last team, they'll be like, my God, what have we done right to get so far up? Love it. This is the exciting part of the show. Not to say the show's not been exciting to this point, but this is the very exciting part.
No, this is the race part now.
It is. And so we need to know who's your favourites to win in your heart and in your head.
Your feet.
Or your feet. And let us know if you do set up a WikiFeet page for Tom and Caroline, because we'll be there.
Well, we won't.
Yes, we will.
We'll support you.
We'll support
with
you 100%.
Your endeavours.
I'll repost it. I will.
Okay.
We all want to see Tom and Caroline's feet on the internet.
Well,
Caroline's made an effort.
For yourself.
You said it yourself.
I did. You said it yourself. I've remained neutral.
I bet she's like very basic with her feet regime. I bet she just uses a bit of talcum powder just to kind of dry them off a little bit in between the toes, not to get a bit of athlete's foot.
Are you sure you're not a member of Wiki Feet? Because you seem to know a lot about them.
I know about Caroline's feet.
Well, earlier she was having Botox in her feet. But anyway, carry on.
She does that too. Allegedly. Oh God, I keep forgetting her husband's a solicitor. We need to say everything we said about Tom and Caroline up to this point is alleged. Right,
They was at Radio 1 weekend, all the young ones.
I saw he was
all
on a
of
giant
them.
deck chair.
I wonder what you were going to say then. On a
deck chair.
Yeah, Tom was there, Finn, Shoned, Elizabeth and Letitia.
Brian and Melvin?
No, they're dead. They're in the OAP home. Yeah, so all the young'uns were hanging out
bet Brian
and getting
and Melvin-
interviewed and all sorts.
I bet Brian
That's
and
your
Mel-
extra baggage this week, everyone.
Oh yes. I bet
We're
Brian-
behind the scenes at the BBC One Radio Big Weekend Festival.
By behind the scenes, means we watched some of the concerts on iPlayer and
Shoned
went on
was in
Instagram.
the thingy tent. Finn took a
What's
photo
the
and took the
thingy
piss out of her. I can't remember what it's called. It's not a sensory tent. It's like the quiet area. I think he was taking the piss out of her. Can't confirm.
Finn. He better bought her some cake.
No, yeah, maybe.
And not the cheap.
No,
not the
because
cheap
she was
crap.
then posting. It's all on my timeline on my TikTok as well now. So I have all the info on Race Across the World Extra Baggage.
Excellent.
She was posting that where's my boyfriend gone? He's never here. Empty chair next to her all the time. Cue photos of Finn and Tom sitting on each other's laps,
Whoa.
dancing, hugging on each other's shoulders.
Uh-oh.
So she's lost her boyfriend as well.
Brokeback Mountain. It's happening before Shoned's eyes.
And she supports it, which we all do. Right, so
We always support the gays.
yeah, we support it all. We support it.
Again, Finn and Tom are not having a relationship. It's just me being
bromance.
I'm making a dumb joke. Okay.
Romance, but yeah, Shoned was most upset.
Right.
Right, so
Brian
there you
and
go.
Melvin, as I was about to say, will be going to the proms,
And the opera.
which is the proms,
Oh, is
essentially
it?
classical music, or the Radio 2 concert thing that they normally do in the summer. So we'll be seeing them soon.
Lovely.
There you go. Well, Caroline at the Radio 1 thing.
No, only the young'uns.
Again, I asked the question, was Caroline at the Radio 1 thing?
No, she was at the New Forest show.
Oh, Caroline, are you going to the New Forest?
Oh yeah, I used to go there every year.
Every
when
year,
I was younger.
with our jodhpurs
Just down the road.
and our hunting jackets.
I bet she does do the New Forest show.
I don't know how far she is.
Don't care.
They
She
probably have their
she
own-
got her HGV license to drive her horses anywhere. That's probably why. To drive it to the New Forest show, where the Queen used to attend
Yeah, well, no, she only attended it once, didn't she?
twice.
Oh, I don't
I
know.
can't
I don't.
remember.
I don't follow the Queen on socials, and I never will, because she's died.
Right.
Right. So
We're meant to be ending this
yes,
10 minutes ago.
I was summing it up quite nicely.
Yeah, I know, but I
there.
had to do the extra baggage.
Extra
so-
baggage. So, if you want to get in touch with us, because now's the time to get in touch with us, because we will be talking about now winners and who we think is going to make it and all that stuff. So, we'd like to know what you guys think. Who's going to win? Who's in your heart and your head? Your heart or your head?
Or your feet.
Or your feet.
We're going back around.
We're doing this again. We're doing this again.
How do they get in touch?
What do you do?
Touch to the feet.
You're such a twat. Go to Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at Faithful2Podcast and Blue Sky at Faithful. You're such a golly, Ben. Blue Sky at Faithful2Podcast.bsky.social.
I said the word bugger.
Oh,
I remember that.
and what was the only word you were allowed to say?
Golly gosh.
Golly gosh, that was a really rude word.
We want that one instead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hang on, no. I'll finish this off first. YouTube at Faithful2Podcast/Faithful. Get ready, stay now listening because we're going to have more sound bites. At Faithful2Podcast, search that, like, subscribe, ring the bell, comment underneath the video with who you think is going to win in your heart or your head. Go to Spotify, go to watch, just watch us on Spotify or listen to us on Spotify, comment on Spotify. You can listen to us on Apple and any favorite podcast apps, 5-star review and all that guff. And if you want to help us, buy us a ticket on buymeacoffee.com/faithful, which for £5 you can help us monetarily. And
Holy golly gosh.
that cracks me up every time. Holy golly gosh. Right, so that's me. I'm done.
That's done. We will see you next week, hopefully with all your comments, so we don't have to fill out the time with WikiFeet chat. So it's up to you guys, really.
Yeah, it's up to you. If you want us to talk nonsense for 30 minutes, then we will. But send us
But-
comments.
Yes, until then, happy travelling. Goodbye.